was really not in my plans. You probably have in your own faith testimony and journey, you have your plans and then God has his plans for you. How many of you know what I'm talking about? So I said to Sean, I said, there are other people who've said, what are we going to do? Will you help? I said, I just want to make sure that it isn't my ambition or my desire or my plan. I want to make sure that it's the Lord, and I want to make sure I'm doing it for God. And Sean said, Ralph, God is speaking to you through this phone line right now. And he's using me to deliver the message. So we founded a new venture called the Faith and Freedom Coalition, which is designed to bring together the entire elements of conservatism. Those that are primarily concerned with the institutions of marriage and family and life. Those who are interested in securing our freedoms and lower taxes and limited government. And those who believe in a forward strategy in the war on terror so that we're taking the fight to the terrorists over there so it's harder for them to bring the fight to us over here. And see, I believe all of these are indivisible. You can't have a strong economy if you don't have people who are living according to the golden rule. If you don't have people who have an internal code of right and wrong, I don't care how many laws you pass, I don't care how many government bureaucrats oversee trades on Wall Street, the answer to what ails the American economy in the end is not just sound economic policy, it's a moral renewal in our businesses, in our homes, in our churches, in our communities. So we started the Faith and Freedom Coalition, and we focused first on Virginia and New Jersey, the two key gubernatorial elections that would set the table for the 2010 elections. And let me tell you what we did. We identified 1.2 million pro-life and pro-family voters in those two states. We communicated with those voters a total of 7 times. 3 times by mail, 3 times by phone, and then at the end we knocked on their door. We contacted them so many times that they got tired of hearing from us, which is exactly what we wanted to do. Because if we had to, we were physically going to go to their home on election day and take them to the polls if that's what was necessary. And let me tell you what happened. We did a total of 4.5 million voter contacts. We contacted more voters in the state of Virginia than I did at the peak of the Christian Coalition when we were headquartered in Virginia. And the result was that on election day, these are network exit polls, these are not my numbers. These are the liberal media's numbers. The percentage of voters who said that they were self-identified evangelicals and pro-family Catholics increased from 27% of the vote to 34% of the vote. They voted 83 to 17% for Bob McDonnell. They were half of his entire vote, and he won by 18 percentage points, the biggest landslide in the history of the Commonwealth. Chris Christie became the first pro-life, pro-family, pro-marriage governor in New Jersey since Roe versus Wade. He got outspent 3-1. John Corzine wrote a $30 million check, and even that wasn't enough. And then came Scott Brown's shocking victory in Massachusetts. Truly one of the greatest victories we've ever seen. Well, what we're going to be doing over the next 8 months or so here in Iowa is we're going to be working with the Iowa Christian Alliance. We're going to have a sister organization, the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition. Yes, we're going to be distributing voter guides. Yes, we're going to make sure God's people know where the candidates stand. But let me tell you what else we're going to do. We're not just going to distribute voter guides. We're going to tell the people where folks stand, and we're going to tell people that they ought to vote for this candidate because they stand for their values. We're not going to leave the express advocacy of the election and defeat of candidates to MoveOn.org and the radical left and the labor unions anymore. We're going to do it, and we're going to see people who share our values serve in positions of public trust, from governor all the way down to legislature and the courthouse and school board all over the state of Iowa. We're going to transform this state. And I will tell you, I have never seen an environment better suited for our efforts. Barack Obama doesn't get it. He and his White House are doubling down on health care, and they are demanding that this go to a vote. And the result is a catastrophe for candidates who stand by his side from one end of this country to the other. Right now, if the election were held today, Republicans would win Joe Biden's Senate seat in Delaware and Barack Obama's Senate seat in Illinois. Today, Marco Rubio, the pro-family, pro-life, tax-cutting, Cuban-born, conservative champion in Florida, is leading the incumbent governor, Charlie Crist, by 32 percentage points. And Blanche Lincoln, who along with Ben Nelson of Nebraska was the final sellout on health care, is losing in Arkansas in her Senate seat by 24 points to Daffy Duck. She's going to be replaced by a conservative come November. So what we're going to do tonight, we need to raise about $500,000 to execute that program. The program that I just described to you, that made history in Virginia and New Jersey and Massachusetts, if you want to see it happen here in Iowa, we need to raise $500,000. So we're going to have some folks that are going to pass some buckets down the aisle, and all I ask is that you put something in one of those buckets. I don't care if it's $1. Don't let it go by without putting something in it. Now the good news is, tonight, when you give, we're not a political action committee and we're not a candidate. Therefore, let me give you some very good news. There is no limit to what you give here tonight. You could write a check of any amount. Isn't that exciting? And we will put it to good use. And I will make a further pledge. This will really get you excited. Whatever you give tonight, whatever you give here tonight, when Steve Scheffler calls me and tells me what the take is, I will send a check from the National Faith and Freedom Coalition and match dollar for dollar everything you give tonight. Okay? So, if you give $1,000, it becomes $2,000. You give $50, it becomes $100. Okay? And we're going to be matching what is raised here as we move through the 2010 elections. It is a great honor to be here. And I appreciate so much what you all have done here in Iowa to work on behalf of our values. And we have as our keynote speaker tonight a gentleman who's a dear friend of Iowa.